Hello and welcome to State of the Nation. I'm Olumide Macaulay. The Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, on Thursday insists that the two chairmen of the committee probing the Niger Delta Development Commission know the lawmakers who received most of the contracts given out by the commission. This claim was embedded in a letter written by Senator Akpabio, sent to the Green Chambers and read on the floor by the Speaker, Mr. Femi Gbadabiamila. Mr. Akpabio also explained he never referred to members of the Ninth Assembly as beneficiaries of the NDDC contracts. The minister also added that in the 2019 budget, there are 19 old contracts amounting to 9 billion naira, which the House of Reps chairman of NDDC insisted that the IMC must pay. Senator Akpabio, however, stressed that he will not make the documents public. After having read the letter on the floor of the House, the letter was handed to the Committee on Ethics and Privileges for further examination. Senator Akpabio's letter came a few minutes after the House of Representatives resolved to institute a legal suit against the minister following the expiration of a 48-hour ultimatum. On Tuesday, the House issued an ultimatum to the minister to publish the names of lawmakers whom he claimed had received contracts from the Niger Delta Development Commission, the NDDC. He said the committee observed process errors and infractions, as well as substantial payments were made to staff in the form of unjustifiable allowances. The investigation further revealed that the NDDC paid 4.9 billion naira to staff for numerous allowances, including COVID-19 relief, tour duty allowances, overseas travel, and international scholarships. Curiously, the payment for overseas travel and scholarship was during the lockdown and cessation of flights abroad. The committee also observed that the Ministry of Niger Delta is culpable if negligent supervision of the NDDC. It further observed that the performance of the Interim Management Committee, IMC, is a major issue, as the record of the IMC has not shown any record of prudence and it should be dissolved. Data feeds are coming through in one place simultaneously on all our social media platforms, channelstv.com, youtube.com/channelsweb. Follow us on Apple, Android, Fire, and Roku TV. And you can also tweet at CTV. Use the hashtag State of the Nation, and let's get your thoughts in. Now, there's been probes in various sectors of the economy set up to get to the bottom of alleged corrupt activities of government officials at the helm of affairs in some agencies. To narrow this down, the ongoing probe in the Niger Delta Development Commission has been an eye-opener to Nigerians on how resources end up in private purses. Joining us on the program to discuss the issues, we have Mr. Oladende Ario. There are two. Yeah. No, we're starting from where we're introducing Mr. Ario. I'm ready. Joining us to discuss the issues, we have Mr. Oladende Ario, a security and policy analyst. Thank you so much for coming on the program today. It's always a delight to have you.
Thank you very much. It's been a while, too. I've not seen you.
Yes, indeed. But it's also a good time for us to talk about this very pertinent issue. What do you think about the probe initiated by the National Assembly against the NDDC?
Thank you very much. In your introduction, I had to say that this is an eye-opener. For me, it's not. Because over the years, since we walked into democracy, if you permit that word, we've had series of probes, series of investigations emanated from National Assembly concerning several MDAs. Now the question is, how many of those probes, investigations were ever concluded in a way that those who were found guilty of misdemeanor, theft, corruption, misappropriation, or whatever got punished for all of those things? It's another drama for all I care. Out there on the street, people call it citizen film. And if you follow the trend the way I did, it has turned out to be a season film. Why? Because we all on live television witnessed a federal minister making very wild and serious allegations. Less than 48 hours after, he denied that he didn't mean it that way or that he didn't say it. So when you look at that, how then do you think something worthwhile or tangible or reasonable can come out of this probe or investigation?
So what the bone of contention for you is that you think the initiation of the probe is in order, but you're skeptical about the outcome of the probe.
Am I skeptical? I'm certain that nothing, I'm very optimistic now, that nothing will come out of it. Oh, yes. You are a journalist, you are a chronicler of history. So I shouldn't be giving you examples. Otherwise, I will ask you to give me time to give you as many examples as I can remember. And then none of them, and I'm saying none of them, ever ended at a point where the culprits now got punished for doing it. We run a no consequence arrangement, democracy here. People walk away with even murder.
You don't think the revelations that we've heard so far are so far-reaching and mind-boggling that it will take a very bad person not to follow through if it's proven to be correct?
Elsewhere, the principal characters of the drama that the probe or investigation has now turned out to be should be behind bars by now. But they are all walking the streets. And I can tell you, there must be a lot of bargaining going on, soft landing going on, at the end of which nothing, and I say nothing with emphasis, will come out of this.
If you look at how important the Niger Delta region is to Nigeria's economy, obviously because of the oil resources and the fact that the NDDC was instituted as far back as 2000 by General Obasanjo for this purpose, and from that time to now, it has received the support of the federal government, and that money and all the monies that have been generated through the NDDC has not been spent or put in the right places. You don't think that at the end of the day that justice will be served if there needs to be punitive measures, that it will be followed through, that those decisions will be taken?
The
National Assembly?
In 2009, I mean,
yes.
In 2010, if my memory is right, I was part of an NGO that was flown to Ogoniland on a fact-finding mission. Now, we were taken to the village community, the community leader, and then the man brought out a cup from his house. There was water everywhere, and then the man scooped a cup and drank from the cup, went down again and offered us the water. None of us could accept it. So I didn't need to be told that things were not right. I have a friend who is from Isoko North, in Uzorov precisely. I have been going with him to that place. I have a farm. Both of us have a joint farm, 100 acres of cassava. So I'm not new to that region, to the extent that anytime I find myself in Delta State, my favorite food is always starch and banga. And there's a restaurant in Olet. If I get there, they welcome me with open arms. I'm saying this to let you know that things have not been what they should be. It's not new. Remember, before the intervention, lives have been lost. There have been kidnappings. There have been needless convictions. The leading stars, the leading lights of Niger Delta, like Kazaruwa, they were sent to their early graves for no justification. If people are not just saying that, they're just waking up to the reality that the funding that has been going to LDDC has never been judiciously utilized, then I'm afraid we're not getting anywhere.
Then what do you make of the recommendations?
In the midst of, an IMC was set up, interim management committee they call them. In the midst of investigation, they were still rolling out, doing out billions of naira for contracts that never was executed. To the extent that they had the effrontery to add a figure, a very huge figure now, saying that they went abroad to attend graduation ceremony of some students who were on scholarship, whereas virtually all the students being sponsored by the NDDC are crying out to the world that they've not been paid their dues. How else inhuman can the people be?
But isn't this the reason why this is the exact purpose for the probe, to right these wrongs? So you're saying that if they don't have the willpower to carry out the recommendations, if it's approved,
I would have accepted.
What for you will be the next just logical conclusion or the next step in this matter?
Now, when the minister declared that the bulk of the contracts were given to National Assembly, he said it, we all heard it, the video is out there in public space. I was expecting, and then of course it was shut down, obviously shut down. I was expecting that the following day or thereabout, he will go ahead and release names of companies. And good enough, God bless the Speaker of the House. He called him out and challenged him and gave him 48 hours within which to make available names of whoever is involved. We were waiting. The nation, the world was waiting. And what happened? By the time they summoned the clerk to put in process, to the judicial process that will bring him to book, he came out and denied what was obvious to the whole world. Now, and then of course, what happened? The NDDC managing director, who fainted, so to say, was asked to go, and that they won't ask him to come back again. But all these things are the loose ends,
right?
Which, if not brought back together, nothing positive or tangible can come out of it. Because the way they were going, the facts were coming in. There was a man, one Mr. Johnson. He came to testify. He was mentioning figures, account numbers, dates, and some as late as last week. But what happened? The committee adjourned sine die. I'm not a lawyer, but when they say sine die in any situation like that, it means indefinitely. So how then can we look forward to any tangible result from such an exercise? It was an exercise in futility. And like I told you, if we go back in history, you will see that there have been previous probes and investigations like that nothing came out of.
What would you like to see that will show for you or for Nigerians that they are serious? Because we saw the Speaker of the House instituting illegal action against the Minister of the Niger Delta, which I think was put on hold pending after he got the phone call or the message from the minister. Doesn't that show seriousness on the part of the House of Representatives?
The House made a very good move. But to tell you what, they should have gone ahead to see that through. Let the minister have his day in court and tell the judge against a live video where he boldly and courageously now declared that they were responsible for, and he even especially mentioned the two committee chairmen. What are we talking about? They should have allowed the process to run through and then allow the arbiter, judiciary, to take a position. So that way, we can now say, oh, we've achieved something. But as it is, the committee has been adjourned sine die. Nothing is happening again. We are waiting for another drama. Maybe NSTIF or maybe MPA or wherever. Because let me tell you, if proper and genuine probes were instituted into virtually all the MDAs, the outcome will shake the country to its foundation.
Okay, we'd like you to hold your thoughts on that matter and keep you on the program, if you will, for some moments. We're going to take a break and be right back. You're watching The State of the Nation, and we are going to turn our attention to the call by some of the National Assembly members for the sack of service chiefs over insecurity in the northeastern region of the country, amongst other issues. Please stay with us. Thank you so much indeed for staying tuned. If you're just joining us, this is State of the Nation. President Muhammadu Buhari has rejected calls by the National Assembly for the sack of service chiefs over the persistent failure to tackle insecurity. Now, the Senate on Tuesday adopted a resolution calling on the service chiefs to resign or be sacked due to the multi-pronged security challenges in the country. But the presidency, in a swift reaction to that resolution, rejected the call and declared that the president has the prerogative to determine their tenure. We're now being joined via Skype by Colonel Yomi Dare from Victoria Island in Lagos. Thank you for joining us on State of the Nation.
Thank you for having me on board. Good evening, viewers, and good evening, Nigerians.
A very good evening to you. Now, Colonel Dare, are you shocked over the call for the sack of the service chiefs by the National Assembly?
Well, I wouldn't say that I'm shocked. I want to believe that the National Assembly, they're Nigerians, and then they've come together to form their own opinion about what they expect from the service chiefs. And then when they feel that they are not getting what they or Nigerians want from them, I believe there's a reason why they are calling for the sack of the service chiefs. But come to think of it, like it has been expressed, the appointment of the service chiefs and their sack or sacking is a prerogative of the president because they continue to hold office as long as the president wishes them to be there. But far from that, I want to also believe that just like the service chiefs, the president himself is representing Nigerians. And at this point in time, I probably don't want to subscribe to the word sack, but I think that there's need for a change because traditionally, or according to the military deployment and posting, you come in, you serve some time, and then you step aside, or you leave office so that others can come in too, because you don't want a situation whereby the older ones are remaining while the younger ones are being choked out. I don't think that it's enough motivation for the system. And far from that, addressing what we have presently on ground, I think there's need for rejigging and re-strategizing. And probably part of the rejigging and re-strategizing would be like, having the service chief, the present ones, to step down while other people are given the opportunity to see what they can do in terms of security needs of this country.
Okay, Colonel Yomi Dare, you say that speaking as a former military officer who served his country, and we could say that you know where the shoe pinches, as it were, the challenges that the armed forces have in the way of combating insecurity in the country, especially in the Northeast, do you understand that to be enough for them to have been able to handle it the way they're handling it? In other words, do you understand that they're doing their best, but possibly their best is not good enough, just as the president said?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I do agree, because sometimes when you are spent out, there's the law of diminishing returns sets in, I mean, they've really tried, no doubt. They've tried. So I think it's high time other people are also given the opportunity to bring fresh ideas on board. That's my opinion.
Colonel, you don't think that it's too harsh to call for them to be removed at this point? Because first we had the Boko Haram insurgency, and then all of a sudden came the banditry, all of a sudden came the kidnappings, and it became a hotbed of all sorts of security challenges that was apart from the agitations of the so-called Islamic State of West Africa province and the so-called Boko Haram, who say they are fighting for Western education to be eradicated. And we know that the challenge, you as a former officer, can you speak to us on possibly what the niggling issues are that we possibly, as the public, don't understand?
Well,
funding, for instance.
Much. Yes, thank you very much. Now, let's address it. For crying out loud, in my opinion, the military, as we speak, is overstretched because they are fighting battles on so many fronts. So many fronts, you know? And again, the strength. I must commend the efforts of the present crop of service chiefs because under their tenure, there has been a lot of improvement in terms of manpower, in terms of equipment, you know. But whether we like it or not, the truth must be told. There is overwhelming situation that they are facing right now. Almost everywhere, all over. The Northeast, in particular, that is the hotbed. And then, of course, the Southwest, the Southeast, the South-South, you know, all over the country, we have one issue or the other, you know. And you recall, sometimes I came up on this platform. That was when the issue of the COVID-19 and the lockdown was going to be enforced. And the military were going to be, you know, kind of involved in that. And I made it very clear here. They said that, look, for crying out loud, allow the police and other law enforcement agencies to take care of that. Because the military is overstretched. Everything you call the military now, you know. And talking about sacking, I believe that, I mean, at this point in time, that's really harsh, you know, in fairness, because these guys have really tried. So maybe you can appoint new chiefs. That does not mean that they are sacked. For crying out loud, they've been there. This is 5 years now, and I believe that they have really tried their best.
Okay, Colonel Dare, if I may jump in there and also possibly bring in Mr. Oladende Ario, who is still with us, to talk about that. You say that they are overstretched, be that as it may. As far as the funding is concerned, there's a school of thought that believes that, yes, it could do with a whole lot more money to prosecute the war against terror and other security challenges, but have they applied properly the funds that they've received already?
This government came to power on three major planks. One, to fight terrorism, or rather ensure security. Number two, improve the economy. And the third one, to fight corruption. Whether we like it or not, on all the scores, they've not done well. I'm not ashamed of saying that. But coming to security, if you look at the portion of our annual budget, year in, year out, plus funds from other sources, including excess crude account, that has been allocated to fighting terrorism, you will agree with me that funding should never have been one of the reasons for the failure. Now, the mistake the presidency made is this. National Assembly is not saying that the president is not lacking in prerogative, okay, to appoint and retain. But they are advising that for all that they can see, these guys have got to go. In sports, they say you don't change a winning team. But what we have is not a winning team.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much, Mr. Oladende Ario, a security and policy analyst, for speaking with us, and also our appreciation to Colonel Yomi Dare, who's served the country in the past in that capacity in the military. So thank you so much, sir, for coming on State of the Nation today. And that's our package for today. Thank you for joining us. I'm Olumide Macaulay.